Welcome everybody. I think you can see my screen now, but we'll give it about another 30 seconds here to let folks join. We'll get started at it's noon for me, Mountain Time. I'm sure it's many of you are in different time zones across the country, but we'll give it just another sec here and then we'll get started. All right, let's go ahead and get started here. Hello, everybody. My name is Chase Paxman. I'm a product manager here at Arbiter Sports. And today we are going to cover the third topic in our back to school webinar series for officials. Last couple of days, we've covered some scheduling functionality as it relates to managing your schedule, checking your blocks, and setting up your availability calendar. And today we are shifting over into payments, setting up your pay account and utilizing that pay account once you have it set up. So the first thing that we're going to cover is navigating to the payments area and setting up your pay account. I'm sure there's many of you on the call today that already have a pay account, so bear with me as I go through this because I'm sure there's others who have not set up an ArbiterPay account before and need some instruction on how to get that done. So as many of you know, you'll sign into Arbiter and this is the first thing that you'll see. If you aren't looking at this page, the way to get here is up in the top right, clicking on your switch views, click on your name and choose My Account. When you choose My Account, you're going to drop here on your dashboard. Everything payment related is going to be on the Payments tab. So that's going to be the first thing that you go to here. If you do not have a pay account already, you'll see a page that looks like this. This page will allow you to either set up a brand new pay account or link an existing one. The one that we're going to focus on today is set up a pay account, but you can link an existing one if you have signed up for ArbiterPay in the past and you know your username and your PIN. If you do know that, choose link existing pay account, continue, and type in your username and PIN to link that. But for most people, they're going to be starting from scratch, so you'll click set up pay account, click continue. It's a pretty simple process to sign up for ArbiterPay once you have an Arbiter Sports account. Simply fill out this form, and then you're going to establish a PIN. I'm not going to fill this out live because you do have to type in your legal information in order to proceed. We need to capture all of this to verify your identity and make sure that we've got the right person here. And then when you click continue, you're going to see a screen that looks like this. So really it's just a two-step process here. Fill out your personal information, and then you'll drop here to establish a PIN on your account. This PIN is pretty important. You're going to want to not forget it. It's a 4-digit number that is going to be used to verify a lot of actions on your pay account after it's been created. Actions such as transferring money, adding a bank account, managing settings. So this is an important thing to remember as you are creating your ArbiterPay account. Make it a 4-digit number that you're going to remember. Once you type that in, you'll go ahead and click continue. This will establish your account, create it, and accept the terms and agreements that we have to set up an ArbiterPay account. It does take a second to spin up, but once it's completed, then it will load up this next page and you'll see that you have your ArbiterPay account created. I'll just give it a second here. There we go. So now you can see we have a brand new account that's been created. You have your account number up here. Obviously, because this is a new account, I don't have an available balance. I'm actually going to switch screens over here in a sec to show a little bit more of an established account with more history on it. But this is the main way to get started. Once you've started, really the next step is to start notifying schools that, hey, you've got your pay account, you'll work the games, let the school or the assigner know that you are good to go and they can start paying you. So I'm going to switch screens here to a different Arbiter account that has a little bit more history, a little bit more activity on the account. So that's what this is here. Once you sign in and you've started making money, you've started working games, you'll see that your available balance is going up. You'll see some transaction history here, and then maybe you've set some things up. So before any of this happens, though, you need to start setting some of your external accounts up. So typically, before the season, you've set up your account. Eventually, you're going to start working games. If you get to this point where you see your ArbiterPay account on the screen, you're ready to go. And you can let the schools or your signers know, I'm ready to be paid now that I've worked some of these games. Sometimes there's some questions from those paying entities, from those responsible for paying, about whether or not you've set up your ArbiterPay account. Just for your awareness, from their side, they are not able to actually execute a payment to you until you get to this point in the process. So I'm sure some of you out there have had some communication with schools or your payers, and they say, hey, you don't have your ArbiterPay account yet. I need that before I can start executing payments. But if you get here, this is the point at which you're ready to go. Once they start making payments to you, you'll see that those transactions come through on your transaction history here. At which point you'll probably want to start cashing out your ArbiterPay balance. I have $50 in my account. I'm going to want to send that to either my bank account or cash out in a few other ways that we have possible. There are a few ways that you can cash out of your ArbiterPay account, but the most common and the recommended way is to send these funds directly to your bank account. In order to do that, the first thing that you have to do is add that external bank account onto your profile. The way that that looks is by clicking up here, this plus sign. I already have one linked, so I'm not going to go all the way through the process, but I'll show you kind of what it looks like. So you'll click this plus sign. This is going to prompt you with a MFA code to ensure the security on your account. I'll go ahead and type that in. So this is a one-time action. Typically, maybe you'll add a second bank account, but that's why we add some high-level security on there with in the form of an MFA code. We don't want anyone being able to sign into your Arbiter Sports account and adding their bank account information onto your profile and then being able to transfer funds out. We also have MFA on login, but this is a second level of MFA that comes up in this one-time process of setting up an external bank account. So just know that that's another form of security to keep your funds and your account safe. Once you type in that code, you'll see this screen here. You'll see that it says Arbiter uses Plaid to connect your account. Plaid is one of our partners that we use to add these external bank accounts. Many software companies like us use Plaid to do bank verification. So really at this point, when you click continue and once you've made it here, you're actually going to log in directly to your online banking institution to link up your checking or savings account that you'll want to send your ArbiterPay funds to. So the reason I'm not going to go through it here is because this is live, this is real. You have to sign into your actual bank account with your actual bank credentials. Once you've done that, it will show up on the list, and you can do it in real time if you know your username and password for your banking institution. But simply, you'll just go through this process, click continue, log in, choose your bank, and log in to add your checking or savings account. Once you've done that successfully, this page will reload and it will show the bank account that you've added here. Now you have the ability to send funds in your ArbiterPay account to that bank account. And I'll walk through what that looks like and how that's done. Before I go through that, I will mention there are two other ways that you can cash out your ArbiterPay balance. One is sending a check, and one is sending to the Arbiter prepaid card. Both are less common options and are available to you. At this point, in order to set up either of those options, you will have to reach out to our support team for some assistance. But in the near future, we will be making those options more readily available on this screen. So keep your eyes open for some updates that we have coming as it relates to managing your ArbiterPay balance in that way. Again, those two options are sending it by check or a prepaid card. If you want to do that, or you want to sign up for a card that allows you to access those funds just from a card that we send you, reach out to our support team and they can help you out with those options. But again, I want to emphasize the best and the recommended way to cash out is just by adding your bank here. All right. Once you've done that, now that I have money in my account, I can transfer it out. I've got my bank account. I'm ready to go. So you'll click the transfer money button up here in the top right. And as I mentioned earlier, your PIN is an important 4-digit number to remember. You're going to be using that a lot as you're doing things like transferring money out of your ArbiterPay account. Type in that PIN that you used when you establish your account, and then you'll see this screen, which allows you to choose where the money is coming from. It's always going to be coming from your ArbiterPay account and going to one of your delivery methods. Again, typically, it's going to be this 1 to 3 business days to your banking institution. you can send the whole amount by clicking max, or you can type in any amount between $0 and $50 into this box here. It says 1 to 3 business days here to send to your bank. Usually it's the next day, especially it will be the next day if you send the transfer or get the request in the morning or the early afternoon. Usually we process in the afternoon time. So if you execute this on a business day, usually you'll see that the next business day. But there are times, depending on the time of day or the time of week, if you're going over the weekend, or perhaps if there's a banking holiday, that it will take more than 1 business day. So once you've made that selection, you'll click continue. I'm not going to do this, but I'll show you kind of what it looks like after you do actually execute that money out of your account. It will then go into a pending state. You'll see that on your list, and I'll actually show you what that looks like right now. So let's go back away on my transaction history, and we can see some of my past transactions here. When I do send those funds to my bank account, it's going to look like this right here. It'll say send funds to bank account and then the amount that I sent. You can see here that on the 27th of June, I had cashed out $348 to take my balance down to 0. Then earlier today, I was paid $50 to take my available balance up to 50. If I were to have actually executed that transfer to my bank account, then I would have seen another transaction for -50 to take me back down to 0. So that's the cash out process there. But now that we're looking at the transaction history, we can speak to kind of what we're seeing here. You can, as you saw me do, you can change the date range to view the transactions that you have had throughout the date range, whether that's payments to you or cashing out whenever you want to do that. You can look for a specific transaction on a specific date, or you can open up the date range just to see the full history on your account. And you can see here that eventually it will have multiple pages if you have a lot of transactions. Another thing that you can do is use the search bar. This kind of comes to our next topic, which is after I've been paid, after I have cashed out, it's going to happen a lot throughout the year as you work games. There may be some questions about, did I get paid for that specific game? I thought that I was supposed to have more money in my account, or maybe I was underpaid, something like that. So you may have specific questions about games or events that you worked. In that case, I'm going to go through a few tools here that you can do to reconcile those funds. You can drop on this page and use the search bar. That's the first method that I'll talk through. Typically, you're going to know the school that you worked, but you can also search the game number, the date. This will search anything in this description field. I'm going to go ahead and type in Alta and search that. And you'll see, okay, here's 4 games that I worked for Alta High School, and this is when I was paid throughout the year and how much I was paid. If there's a missing payment on here, like, oh, well, this is games that I worked in January, but I know I worked something in February or December, then maybe I would have to cross-reference that with my schedule, which we'll go through. So this is the first method that you can do to do some investigation on games that you were paid for and reconciling that. Before we leave this page and before we kind of jump over to the schedule to see the next step, I'll also show you that you have the option to download this report to a CSV if you want to keep it for your own records, so that you can just know what's been paid to you and what the balance on your ArbiterPay account has been up to. Okay. If you are at this point and you're still looking to reconcile or make sure that you got paid for everything that you worked, you can always cross-reference that with your schedule. So the next step is to maybe, after you've checked some of your payments, go over to the schedule tab and take a look at some of the games you've worked recently. This calls back to the 2 webinars that we had earlier this week. So hopefully you caught those. If you didn't, you can catch some of the recordings. Reach out to us if you weren't on that mailing list, and we can show you some of the tools that you have here to view your schedule, work with accepting games, viewing your past schedule, and that sort of thing. Here I have filtered for past games, so I'm seeing everything all the way back to 2021. I had those 4 payments from Alta High School, but now I can come in here and see, okay, was there another payment that should have come my way from Alta or any other school that I worked for? So what I wanted to focus on here is the the fees column mainly. We've got our date and other information that helps us identify the game, but the fees column is what I want to focus on here. You'll see that it's the fee number is going to either be black or green. If it's green, that means that that was marked as paid. If you have questions about, did that money make it to me? Did the school actually send those funds my way? That might be a different question, and I'll show you how you can reach out to folks. But if it's green, that means that it's marked as paid, that the school marked it as paid. And typically it means that they sent ArbiterPay funds to you. So if you hover over any green payment, it will give you a little bit more detail on what that $60 is. And here, sorry, let me zoom in a little to make this a little bit bigger. So that $60 was it breaks it down to $50 game fee, $10 for travel, $0 for per diem. And then right below that, it says that the game fee was paid on July 7th, 2021. So the day after the game. So that's the additional detail that you can get from hovering over that. For the black ones, that means that it's not paid. You can still get the breakdown of the fee, the $40 fee here, but maybe, this was a long time ago for this test account that I'm looking at, but why wasn't I paid this $40 for this game I worked in November 2021? Well, I could reach out to the school and ask them, but or maybe I know why, but yeah, that's a quick way of seeing if I was paid or not. Another helpful tool on this page is to use this filter up here of paid status. Right now I'm viewing everything, but I can quickly see things that were paid by choosing the paid option and choosing apply filter. It will reload the page and cut this list down to just the green ones, just the stuff that was paid for me. And then I think more importantly, and maybe the main reason why you would use this filter, is to see everything that was not paid. So choose the unpaid option, apply filter, and then it's going to show me a list of everything that has not yet been paid. This does default to sort oldest first down to newest, so you may be more interested in the stuff that's happened recently. Again, I'm working with test data here, so a lot of these things are going to say $0, and there's a lot of unaccepted games. But generally, you might want to scroll down to the bottom of the list and say, I worked this game yesterday, still haven't been paid. I worked this game earlier this month, still haven't been paid. Why is that? Who do I need to reach out to? How can I follow up? And then again, just calling back to what we looked at earlier, for the stuff that was green and marked as paid, you can check that against your ArbiterPay balance to see if there's any discrepancies or issues. The reason why there might be discrepancies is because sometimes payment will be executed not through ArbiterPay. We definitely encourage schools and assigners that are paying through ArbiterPay to send every single one of their payments to you through ArbiterPay, but there are times where they just do something else, or maybe they pay you with cash on site, but they still want to mark the game as paid, in which case it will come across as green here, even though you don't have ArbiterPay funds. So it's important to kind of think of all the possibilities there, but hopefully when y'all are being paid, it's always coming through ArbiterPay. If you have a game that's not marked as paid and it's in the past, then you can do some investigation to find out what's going on. Maybe the easiest way would just be, well, this is out to high school. I know how to contact them. I'm going to call their school office and get in touch with the athletic office or the finance office and ask them about my payment. That's a pretty general way of getting in contact with the school, and it will work. They'll probably have answers for you. But we also have some additional tools that will let you know more specifically who you can reach out to if you want to talk to somebody specifically. The way that you can do that is by clicking on the game number here to get some additional details on the game. When you click on this, it's going to show not only your partners and some additional detail on the game, but down here at the bottom on this page for every game, it says your game is paid by this person. Here, let me actually get a better example than this, because normally you're going to have an email and a phone number as well. So let's choose a different game. Let's choose this one. No, sorry. We'll choose this one, even though it says $0. Yeah, here we go. So you can see your partners, you can see the detail of the game, and then you can see who your game is paid by. Here, it's Charles Barkley. That's maybe the athletic director at the school. Obviously, it's not the real Charles Barkley. This is their email. This is their phone number. So this is a quick way of finding a specific person that you can reach out to, as opposed to reaching out to the school generally. But if you're more comfortable with that, or you know who to talk to already, you don't need to use this. This is just an additional tool that you have to be able to chase down that payment if you have questions about it. All right. One other thing that I'll mention here is you can use these filters to show stuff that was paid, stuff that wasn't paid, but this page is kind of sensitive to assigners who are doing cleanup season over season. If the assigners or the schools are going in and doing some seasonal maintenance in the off season, they may delete their whole schedule just to clear things out year over year. Some assigners handle it differently. Some assigners want to hold on to years worth of data, which is totally fine, but they also can delete it at the end of the season. So what I would suggest for you is to download this report, to download your payments report and keep your own records if that's something that you want to have a paper trail of. Because it's not guaranteed that you're going to have games going back to 2021, depending on the assigners and the schools that you're working with. The admins there may just want to handle things differently depending on what school or what area they have. So this is a little bit sensitive to the admins managing their own data, and just be aware of that, and maybe be vigilant about downloading reports so that you have stuff for your own records on your own computer. All right. So to this point, I've kind of covered what it takes to set up a pay account, what happens before you're paid. Once you've been paid, you cash out, and then after you've been paid, kind of chasing down any missing payments that may be coming through. I have one last topic that I'll cover, and then a few tips after that, and then we'll wrap up here. The last topic that I want to cover is 1099 season. So at the end of your season, or at the beginning of the tax year in January, you may need to access your tax documents that are coming from us. As many of you know, and if you don't know this yet, we lump all the payments that you receive in your ArbiterPay account together to make it a simple experience for you and the schools. And if you make over $600 coming through to your ArbiterPay account, then we're actually the ones that issue you a 1099 kind of on behalf of the payers, on behalf of the schools. That 1099 document, again, is on the Payments tab and on the 1099s sub-tab. You can check your transaction history throughout the year and compare that against the number that you see on the 1099 page to ensure accuracy. If there's any questions about why this number is higher or lower than you expected, then you can click on this preview button to see a breakdown of why it added up to $50.03 here for 2029. So before I go into that too, you'll see here that I haven't received a tax document on this account for 2023 or previous. That's potentially because I'm new to the system, or maybe because I've never made more than $600 in any given tax year. We will always show the current tax year if you've been paid anything that year. And there's no download button because 1099s are not available for 2024 yet. They won't be until next January. But you can always preview the payments that you've received throughout the year here. It shows a very similar transaction description on the payment. You can see who you were paid by, when you were paid, and how much you were paid. If there's any dispute on the amounts here, reach out to the school and we can work with, and they can touch base with us to get any of that corrected that we need to. It's always a good thing to review these throughout the year as opposed to waiting till January to check on things. So maybe make it a habit to check on this periodically throughout your sports season and make sure that it's accurate, especially if you work a sport that maybe ends in April. If you're working like baseball or something like that, it'll start early in the year, end in April or May, and then you might not think about taxes until next January. And it's been a long time, and there's a lot of opportunity to forget about what might have happened with these payments. So definitely would encourage you to check on these throughout the year. Once January does come around, if you have made more than $600, you'll have an additional button on this page that says download. Download will download that 1099 PDF to your computer. It'll come through on your browser downloads, and you'll be able to have that for your records. It's the official tax document that you're going to need to file your taxes at the beginning of the year there. So that covers 1099s. That's pretty much it. That'll take you from setting up your pay account all the way through the end of the season in 1099s. So that kind of covers ArbiterPay in a nutshell there. But there are two more things that I want to mention as just helpful tips that you could use as you're working with your ArbiterPay account. The first one I'll show you here is back on the Accounts tab. So back on your main pay dashboard, you have the ability to set up recurring automatic transfers to your bank account if you would like to just kind of automate that and not have to think about it. That setting is here on this gear icon. If you click on that, it's going to load up a page that will allow you to manage your PIN if you want to change your PIN, set up notification preferences, but the one that I want to highlight here is updating your automatic transfer settings. So if you click update here, you'll see that there's some options that you have. You could set up your account to automatically cash out, and it will cash out everything in your account will be sent to your method of choice on a specific day of the month. You can say, okay, on the 5th of every month, I want to send all of my money via check. I know that I mentioned earlier that you can't transfer funds via check individually, but you can set up automatic transfers by check. There is a fee associated with the check. There's also a fee associated with sending it to your bank account if you do it in an automated way. If you don't do these automatic transfers, then sending money to your bank account manually, as I showed you earlier, is free. But if you want to automatically send it to your bank and just not have to think about it, there's a $1.50 fee every time one of those automatic transfers goes through. So if in this case, it would send it out on the 5th of every month. If you have any money in your account, it's going to send it to your bank, take out a $1.50 and handle it that way. The other option that you have is a dollar amount. So this, the way you can think about this is once my ArbiterPay balance reaches $500, then I want it to automatically transfer to my bank account. So that wouldn't be a specific time frame, but rather I'm going to get paid throughout the year. Eventually, I'm going to hit some threshold, and now I want to cash out. And once I hit that threshold, we're going to automatically transfer that to your bank account for you. This is a nice way to kind of set it and forget it throughout the year or throughout the life of your ArbiterPay account, and then it'll just kind of empty it out, and you don't have to worry about signing in and doing that yourself. Once you have your settings set up, again, type in your PIN, important number to remember, to update your settings, and that will change your automatic transfer settings here. So that's one tip that I wanted to show you. The next tip is using our mobile app. There are some functions on the mobile app as it relates to pay. We've covered some of this from scheduling again throughout the week, and hopefully you got to see that. But you may have noticed in those demos that there's a payments tab down here on the bottom. So we'll cover that payments tab, and then I'm going to cover some of the other functionality that we offer in the app. I want to say before I get into any of this, a lot of the setup, adding a bank account, some of the more foundational things on your pay account, some of the bigger things you have to do from a computer. Setting up a pay account, adding a bank account, managing automatic transfer settings, those have to be done from a computer at this point. Eventually, we will build more and more payment functionality into the app, but for now, it's a little bit more trimmed down than what you see on the desktop version of this. So when you sign into the mobile app, you'll see a screen that looks like this. You've got your calendar view here. One thing that you can do, this kind of comes back to reconciling or checking that you're getting paid the right amount and for the right games. You can click on any given game, and when you scroll to the bottom, you'll see how much you're meant to be paid and who is paying you. So in this case, Harriman High School or Harriman is paying you. You're due $85.52. The game is on July 1st, 2023. So if it's after July 1st, 2023, then you may want to reach out to Harriman about that. But if it's before that, then this is what you can expect to see for your payment. Another thing that you can do, in addition to checking how much you're meant to be paid on those details page, is you can filter on this page for paid and unpaid games. So you have a lot of filters here. A couple of them are related to payments. Right here, paid and unpaid. Very similar to what I showed you on the schedule view on the desktop side. It just does the same thing. If you want to see unpaid games, check that box. If you want to see paid games, check that box, and then click save, and it will cut down that list on your schedule page to show you just games that apply to that status. So that's a way that you can on the go reconcile and see which games maybe you haven't been paid for and who you need to follow up with. All right, and then when you're actually getting more into the payment functionality of the app, not just the schedule side, then you click on the payments tab down here on the bottom. You'll see that you see a transaction history on this page. It will be exactly what you see on the desktop version. It should show the same values, the amounts that you're receiving in the form of payment from Alta High or Bountiful High, and then the amounts that you're cashing out to your bank account or however you did that in negative values here. Also, it will show your available balance up at the top of the screen, and then you have the ability to transfer funds out of your ArbiterPay account. Right now, when you click transfer, the only option you're going to have from the I guess you do have the option to send to a prepaid card. For those of you out there who do have a card, you will have the ability to send these funds to that card. But again, the most common recommended way is to send it to a bank account. So when you click transfer, it'll default to the full amount of your ArbiterPay balance. You can modify this if you'd like to send less. And then you can choose which bank you want to send it to if you have multiple bank accounts linked. And then when you're ready to go, click transfer. That's going to then show up on your transaction history as a negative amount. Now I have $0. This is a pending transaction. It's not going to go immediately. You still have to wait that 1 to 3 business days. It's the same exact process of what you go through on the desktop. The added benefit here is being able to do it on the go from your phone, which we know is a convenient and popular thing for many of you out there. All right, that's the last tip that I wanted to show you here. Again, today we covered how to set up your account, how to get things set up with your bank account. Once you get paid, how to cash out, reconciling your payments at the end of the season or throughout the season, 1099s, and then a couple of tips here to use mobile and automatic transfers. Hopefully this was helpful for you. Really appreciate you showing up today. And if you have any questions or feedback about anything we've covered today, or maybe something that you wanted to hear about, feel free to reach out to our support team and share that question or feedback with them. Thank you all. Take care.